I generally just make the naming convention whatever the initials of the thing are. So level LVL, blueprint BP, widget blueprint WBP, material
What are the other
that sort
ones
of
you
thing.
have? I tell them to use WBP in caps, BP, but I never saw LVL. But that makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just try and make it, so like input action would be IA, like just
Okay, yeah.
literally whatever the thing is, you just stick those initials on it is usually how I go. I also make them, or I usually have them put at the back.
Oh, the back. Okay.
Yeah, like just because it alphabetizes over here in the outliner, so unless I
Ah.
want to just see BP all day here,
Oh.
it makes it easier to just stick that at the end, so I can
Hmm.
see what the thing is actually named.
Hmm.
Um, Basically,
Yeah.
I just start with whatever I care about the most, and then move towards what I don't care about.
Okay.
The naming convention is really only on here because like these are all color coded and they all have their thing here.
Hmm.
And then over here in the outliner, if I move this, you'll see it actually tells you like this is a world type, so it's a level. Like like I can see a bunch of places what this actually is. The only reason to really name it like this is for Git because when you do commits, it'll just say you asset and it won't tell you what specifically it is. So if you have LVL on there, then I know it's a level, or I know it's a blueprint, or I know it's a you know material or whatever, um, animation, all that sort of stuff. So it just makes it easier. First things first in here. So my scene is completely empty. Um, if I come up here to the top, these are all of the like included things with the engine. First things first is a light, so I grab a directional light and just drag it out here. It doesn't really matter where it goes. This is sort of like the sun.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
just shining light flatly across the whole level
Yeah.
from a direction. Um, and then we're gonna go ahead and grab a basic shape, cube, and then I'm just gonna pop up here and change the size. So this cube is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter,
Okay.
and the way scale works is it's a multiplier of the original size. So right now, this is staying at 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. I'm going to go ahead and
Okay.
set this to 20 meters by 20 meters. Um, but again, that is dependent upon the original size of the object.
Okay. So it's
Um,
relative, you mean? Is there an option for world and real? I think there is, right?
so
Relative. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
you can do this. The only thing is with scale, it doesn't actually work.
Okay.
Um, So, like, when I click on this thing here, if I come to the top and I click this little icon, this will actually
Yeah.
switch between world and local space.
Okay.
If I click on scale, so I leave this on world, and this is the world. If I click on scale, it automatically sets to local, and I can't switch
Hmm.
it.
Okay.
Your size is your size.
Okay.
So in the world, we can change it. If you have a relative scale, like if this is a part of something else, like this is a component, I can change this thing's relative scale to the rest of the actor, but that's again not really. Essentially, it is how big it is. Is really what it breaks down to. Um, but in any case, so 20 by 20 makes this 20 long and 20 wide, and then I'm gonna leave this at 1 because I don't really need it to be any thicker. Um, Next thing we're gonna do is grab the from basic right here, the player start, and the way this works is the game mode, which is associated with the level, is going to find this and then spawn my player default, yeah, my default player at this location. So over here in
What
the world settings, go ahead.
game mode? I understand it. It's for every level in the project, but when would you use the level blueprint?
So the game mode is not necessarily for
Oh,
every
yeah.
level in the thing. The way Unreal actually works is when you start the project, it will load a game instance class. The game instance class will stay alive the entire time the project is open. So that's your persistent program class. Um, the game instance will then look into the project files and find the first level it's supposed to load, and will load that level. That level will then look into and see if it has a game mode override. If it does, it will load that game mode. If it does not, then we will load the one from the project settings. The game mode then defines all of these other things. So, which pawn class, which HUD class, which controller class. These are more for multiplayer stuff, but it defines all these different classes that we're going to use. And then the game mode is also kind of like your rules class. In
Okay.
multiplayer, the game mode is a server only class, which means that the clients don't have one. In order to communicate between the client and the server, for the game mode, you have to actually use the game state or the player state class to actually be like a go-between for you. The reason you have to do this is for security purposes, so that people don't cheat. And the game mode is the server is authoritative. So if the server says that your player goes this fast, or you get this many points for a goal, and somebody tries to cheat and change the client code, the server will correct them, and it will stay with whatever it was supposed to be. So the game mode is sort of like defining what we're going to use, and then is in charge of making sure that everything goes well.
Okay.
But so you can use the exact same game mode for every level in the project, and you don't need an override then. The only time you need an override is if you're going to switch, if I'm going to do a main menu game mode, so that I can do all main menu stuff, and then have the regular play game mode. You don't need the game mode to change for any particular reason. I could have a game, like an open world sort of game where we have like a bunch of mini games in it, and I don't need to change the level or load a different game mode to make that happen. It's often just easier if you do have separate levels to encapsulate that sort of stuff into a game mode. Like if I'm doing capture the flag versus team deathmatch or whatever, it's usually easier to encapsulate that stuff separately, as opposed to trying to have one mega game mode that does all of the game stuff. But yeah, that's totally an option. So like I said, the game mode, when we actually start the level, is going to, as part of what it does, find the player start. And if it finds one, it's going to spawn my default pawn class at this location, and then tell my player controller to possess it. And then from that point on, the player controller is in charge of the pawn class, and we kind of just run around and do what we do. So at this point, if I hit play, because we're in default, I said none, we're going to use the default third person one, and my little dude is here, and he can't really walk anywhere because I don't have a nav mesh. But he pops up. If I were to set this over here and just put it on flat game mode,
But
and I hit
I have
play.
a question. Nav mesh, isn't that for enemy characters, for AI enemies?
So it's for anything that you want to do path tracing.
Okay.
So because that guy is point and click, I pointed a spot and then hit that little button over there. He's actually using the nav mesh for pathfinding, because I want to be able to click, on the other side of an obstacle and have him go around it on his own, as opposed to making the character, or making the player, click, push, click, push, click, push to make him go around stuff. But yeah, so the nav mesh is just for anything that you want to have, navigate. There's also the EQS. I'm trying to remember what the E stands for. Environment query system. Where eventually they spawn a bunch of nodes, and they use those to handle the path tracing, as opposed to the nav mesh. But that's kind of advanced. But so basically, now we have a spot for our player to spawn, and we have a place for them to be. So what we're going to do is actually make the game mode, the player controller, and the player pawn, because I need those three things. When we go to make a thing, because this is built on C++, even though Blueprints is a virtual machine run language, it still inherits from C++ and is built on top. So we still do, inheritance and OOP and stuff like that. The object class is the base class for everything in Unreal. It's just a data class. It doesn't live in the world. It doesn't show up on screen. It doesn't receive input or even know about the screen refresh. It's literally just a class that can hold, data and talk to other stuff.
Right.
The scene component and actor component are also objects. They have to live inside of an actor and are essentially, like the pieces that encapsulate logic and stuff that you want to reuse outside of a particular class hierarchy. So the actor class is the next one down from object, where we actually, are like a thing. This is an object that can be placed in the world. So by default, everything in the world is an object. So this actor, this light, this player start, this cube, they're all actor classes. The player controller and the game mode are also actor classes. They're just children of an actor. Because they will actually be spawned into the world as well when I hit play. You'll see them in yellow over here on the side. The actor is just something that's in the world. It does know about tick, so like it knows when the screen refreshes, so you can do stuff like animate it. But it does not receive input from a controller, at least not by default. The pawn class is the class that actually like is assigned a controller and then receive the input. So if it's going to be something in the world you interact with or just, animates and does stuff on its own, actor class. If it's something that you or an AI controller is actually going to take possession of and be, then you want to be a pawn.
Okay.
Pawns are the base, so they're not as flushed out, and they're more generic. So you can do like skateboards and UFOs and all kinds of stuff. The character class, on the other hand, is the child of pawn. This is for organic characters. This comes with a skeletal mesh component, and it comes with a character movement component. So we are assuming that you're going to have a mesh with bones that you want to animate, and we're assuming that you're going to do stuff like running and jumping and crouching and swimming and flying and all that sort of stuff. If you're not, then it's just a whole bunch of extra code that you don't need, and is kind of just going to slow your performance down.
Sure.
So you want to just pick the lowest common denominator for whatever you're doing. Because performance aside, we could just pick character for everything, and then your light switches could be characters. It wouldn't really matter aside from you're doing stuff you don't need to be doing. Yeah. So player controller, and we're gonna go ahead and PC. GM, and last one. All right. So first things first is the game mode. We are going to over here on the right hand side. You actually see that they have a little dragon icon here, so you don't put nothing there. It doesn't stop you as far as I'm aware. It's just not a good idea. But over here on the right hand side,
what were you doing again in the viewport?
Oh, so the default scene route, for whatever reason, they put a new icon here, and it sort of messes up the visuals.
Okay.
Where'd you go? Why is he? There he is. But there's a holy shit. Slow down. There's a dragon icon.
Does the F key work on this or not?
Like yeah, so it does, but there's nothing to actually click on.
Oh, okay.
Like
okay.
Yeah. Actually, no, that does work. Okay, but yeah. So I was moving too fast. If you hold the right mouse button and roll your mouse wheel, that'll change your speed. I just had it too high. But there's a little dragon icon here hidden behind their new default scene route icon. This is basically just to let you know that like you're not supposed to put shit here.
Okay.
So like over here in the component section, you're not really not supposed to add like a static mesh component to the game mode. You could, but you really aren't supposed to. In any case, the right hand side here in the details panel for class defaults. So you can click on this thing here or the little button at the top. Under classes is assigning which ones we're going to spawn and set up for the game. So I want the player controller class to be my Dave Pong PC, and I want my default pawn class to be my Dave Pong pawn. Compile and save, and then now if I go back up to the level, the last thing I need to do is over here in world settings, I need to set my thing to use this game mode. When I hit play, now I can't move because I'm using my Dave character, and they're just an empty shell. So now that I have this all taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and pop over here to my character, and I'm going to actually set him up real quick. So the viewport is like the local scene for this actor. So anything I add in here will be present anytime I drag this actor out into the level. First things first, I want a static mesh, and we'll go ahead and set this to be a cube. If I hover my cursor over top of this, it gives me all the little details about it. This approximate size is 100 by 100 by 100, so this is the one I want. Okay. Not quite, actually. I want the other one. There we go. There's also one that's like 255 by 255 that I don't want. And then in here, I'm going to drag this here to make the static mesh the default route. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and set this to be 4 just because. Now I got myself a little block. I'm also going to add a spring arm. And the spring arm is used for like clipping purposes to hold the camera. So if for whatever reason we ever go, like we don't really need it here, but if for whatever reason we ever go around a corner or something gets in front of the camera and breaks this red line, it'll move the camera to the other side of the break. So you don't clip through walls and stuff like that. Okay. This thing here, I'm going to go ahead and set scale to be world and set you back to 1. There we go. And then we're going to, with this selected, I'm going to add the camera because that'll attach that normally. So now I have my little hierarchy of the camera attached to the spring arm and the spring arm attached to the static mesh. So everybody's happy. I can just drag and drop this on top of here to break that, or drag and drop to create it. So you can play with that if you want to. But over here on the side, the camera. Oh, well, actually, spring arm. Why are we? There we go. Yeah. So location is 0, 0, 0 because it's attached to the spring arm, and the spring arm is setting it to be there. So spring arm is the one that actually handles the positioning of the camera. Okay. So if I play with the target arm length, you'll see it moves the camera around. I'll go ahead and set this to like 800 or so just for now. And then the socket offset is like this white ball, like this side. And the target is the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the camera I want it to be a bit higher. We'll go with 300 just for fun. So now the camera is up here and back a little bit. And then I'm just going to rotate the camera down slightly so that it's looking at us. 10 degrees is probably fine. And then now if I compile and save and come out here to the level and we hit play. Oh, snap. Now we got a cube and I'm looking at him. Mm-hmm. So next thing we're going to do is we want to actually make the cube move. In order to do that, we're going to need inputs. I noticed that your pictures were of the old way to do it.
Yeah, because that's all I.
It's,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
I
there's
mean, like,
enhanced input actions now.
yeah, they're gonna actually. So the legacy system is gonna be like removed at some point. This is
Yeah.
like what they're doing to move forward. It's mildly annoying, but it's not crazy hard. I usually make a new folder for this and call it input, and then in here under the input section, you make an input action for the thing you want to do. So in this case, move underscore IA, and then we need a context in which you're going to do it. So this will be my uh, Dave underscore Pong underscore IMC for input movement context or input mapping context. So first things first is I'm going to open up move, and this is basically the settings for the action. So by default, you can change a whole bunch of stuff in here. Should it trigger when paused? Should it should it be a corded action? Do you have to hold it down? Do you have to press and release? Tap, all kinds of stuff like that. Same thing for the modifiers. You can set like dead zones and POVs and all kinds of stuff. For this one, we're just going to change the return value from a Boolean to a 1D float. That way it gives me a little more range. And just in case somebody decides they want to use it with a thumbstick, that'll work. And then that's all I'm going to do in here. I'm going to go ahead and kill that one. And then inside the mapping context itself, this is where you add all of the actions for this context. So a good example for this is if I'm doing like a Grand Theft Auto type game where like my character's running around and then he can hop in vehicles, and then I also have a pause menu, and A might do different stuff in all those different contexts. So I would have an on the foot context or an on foot context and a driving context, and then I could swap between those or set one to have a higher priority and then
Sure.
override those actions. So when I press A and the driving context is turned on, then he does this instead of that. Same thing with the menu. I can have A trigger the select action when that mapping context is turned on versus the run or sprint context when the on foot is active.
Okay.
So this one is going to be D. If you click this little icon here, it'll just record whatever the next input you hit is. So I'm going to set
Yeah,
one up
that
for
one I know.
D,
Yeah.
and then
So
if I
that
hit
that's
plus F,
not part. That's not the old system. Is I mean, this is the
yeah,
standard
yeah,
that's not going away, right?
correct. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
This is the new system.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so like once I have this thing here, I can add as many mappings as I want. So these are all going to trigger. These are both going to trigger the move function. Because I want to differentiate under modifiers, I'm going to go ahead and add the negate modifier. So instead of 0 to 1, this will give me 0 to -1 to let me know I'm going left instead of right.
Okay.
Go ahead and save that, and then we're all done with the inputs now. Well, setting them up, and then the last part here is this is the boilerplate that makes this super annoying. You want to get controller, cast to player controller. This doesn't matter because there will be a player controller, so you're not, by loading this, you're not doing anything special. We want the get enhanced input local player subsystem. If you just type in sub, it'll pop up. It's got a purple F to it. And then we're going to add mapping context.
Okay.
And this is basically telling it like, hey, listen for the actions associated with this thing. And then also let's be set a priority here so I can decide like, hey, this one should take priority over, these other ones or not. Now that this is set up, I can go ahead and do my Pong move. This one right here is going to return just the action value. So if I wanted to like run my thing off tick, I could do it this way. Or if I wanted to check for whatever reason, I just want to know the action value, I can get it here. Otherwise, this is the actual function or event that's going to run the thing. This gives you a lot of options here. Started is going to fire once when you hit the thing and once when it's done. Triggered is going to fire the entire time the button is pressed, and then ongoing and canceled are special case things, but you just don't have to worry about those right now. The only one we care about here at the moment is the action value, and this is going to give me either 0, 1, or -1 based on which button I'm pushing. So off a triggered, I'm going to add actor offset, and we'll do world just for fun. And we will multiply this by world delta seconds. And speed. So up here, promote to variable, speed, and then over here in the details, we'll just set this to say 300. And then I can right click on this yellow pin here, break this open, and just apply this to Y. Let me double check. Yep, that's what I want. So now compile and save, and it will be moving.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yep. And then now the next step is going to be getting it to stop when I bump into stuff, which is actually going to be this. So this little button, this little checkbox here, checks to see if we did in fact hit something, and then does something about it. So if this will check to see oh, are we going to hit something in our new spot? If we are, then don't do it. Basically, this will also activate this hit result thing here. So if I split this open, you'll see we get a bunch of information about the thing that I hit if I did in fact hit something, or if I didn't hit something, it'll tell me. But so this is the basics of how we move stuff. This is just simplified for time. You can also do set actor location directly.
Okay.
And then this would actually require you to do the full math of get actor location. And then add this to that Y, and then stick that in here. And then these are functionally the same thing. This is just already knows where you're at and is getting looking for the delta. But yeah, so it's usually I have them do this just so they understand the full math of it. But like I said, there are easier ways to do it, and then we could actually even there is a movement component.
Yeah.
So there's floating pawn, interp to projectile and rotating. If I do floating pawn, there is a built-in add movement input function, and then I can give it the direction and the scale value, and it will run based off of the speed and acceleration I have set on this automatically. So instead of doing this stuff, I would literally just go to here instead, and then give it the direction I wanted to go along with the scale. So scale would go here, and then I would figure out direction. So it'd be 1 on Y. And then now if I run this, you see, this actually has acceleration and braking built into it
cool.
also.
Yeah. Motion blur on the shadow. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's part of the post. Actually, no, there should. Yeah, there should. Is there?
No,
yeah, no, I don't have a post
I
processing
assume
here yet.
was.
Yeah, it's probably setting on the camera because I don't actually have a post process in this thing. But yeah, but to just tell them oh, add the floating pawn thing and put 1 here and plug that there. that doesn't like they don't understand what they just did. And like for the ball, we're not going to be using movement component. The ball, we would actually do this thing, or like that. So that way I can have them understand like, oh, we're going to get the current normal and then get the reflection value, and then use the direction we're moving and the surface normal to get the new direction, and then set that. So like like once they understand the math of what it is they're doing, then they can go ahead and do stuff like make moving platforms and all that sort of shit. But like this is really where I start the basis. So like from here on out, we would move on to doing the ball, which is going to be essentially the same thing, except we don't have movement to drive it. We are just going to use tick and set the new location. And then they do the actor, which is or the enemy, which is again going to do the same thing. We're going to just figure out where the ball is, and then should we move left or right, and then move. But like the whole first like three things we're going to do are basically the same thing. You know what I mean? Just slightly different variations, so they really get into their mind like, oh, we're moving on a grid. Because like once you have that in your head, then it gets a lot easier to sort of figure out like, oh, all right, I want to move in this kind of a pattern, or I want to follow this curve or whatever. As you move along. That we're doing the Zoom thing. We'll sit in the other meeting. All right. Okie dokie. So do you have any questions come up when you were reviewing the stuff from yesterday?
Explain, if you would, how does goal enter? All right, the goal is just that means you've won or you've lost if it hits this goal object. That's all it is, right?
Yeah, it's just an overlap
Okay, yeah.
trigger or volume, and
Okay,
then like anytime you overlap something in Unreal, you will get a reference to the thing that overlapped. So we're
yeah.
just since the ball overlapped, I get a hold of the ball, and then I tell the ball, hey, you should respawn, and then I tell the game mode, hey, somebody scored.
Okay. Um, in the AI, how is it working that it's not it's not like 100% accurate, like it loses on occasion? I'm not sure how that works.
So that the only way that it would lose is because the ball is faster than it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like it, yeah. So like essentially, it just has to not be able to catch up to where it needs to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, that makes sense. Okay, let me share the screen and I'm excited about seeing what we got here. All right.
Nice. Alrighty. So do me a favor, real quick. Go ahead and open up the enemy.
Yep. Okay.
AP. Yep. Perfect. Um. Now the and I showed you this on yours. And just for demonstration purposes, like if you want to, we can switch the enemy from instead of using this kinematic thing, we can actually apply the movement component, and then that'll handle all of our stuff for us. Do you want to switch it to that, or do you want to leave it like this?
Let's leave it like this for now.
Okay. Alrighty. So the next step is going to be in the game mode. We're going to actually handle, like winning and losing.
Yeah.
So in the upper right hand corner, yep, your underscore GM tab's already open.
Okay, cool. Let me move this thing. I don't know if you can see what it's doing. All right,
No,
GM,
you're good.
cool.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So we are going to need a couple of things. We're going to need a variable for the enemy score, a variable for the player score, and a variable for the like the limit, or when we've decided we win and lose.
Okay.
So over here in the bottom left, go ahead and make those three variables quick, and then we'll.
Okay. Enemy score integer.
Yep.
Let me do Control D. Player score.
By the way, if you hit the plus button, it'll make a variable of the same type as the last one you made. So if you hit that
Okay.
plus, it'll just make you another integer.
What was the last one?
The score limit. So like.
Okay. Plus. Wait. Hold on, let me try this again. Plus.
Oh, my bad. So a little higher up where it says variables, there's a little plus icon to the right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
it'll
Right.
just make you a new whatever.
Okay. And score limit.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Go ahead and hit compile and set the score limit to something that's not 0, like 3 or whatever, just so we don't have to
Sure.
wait too long.
Okay.
Perfect. You can go ahead and delete the select string and the print string. That was just there for our, so we could make sure it was working. And you can go ahead and get rid of the begin play and the tick. We're not going to use those. At least not right now.
Calculate score.
Yep.
Game mode.
So what we're going to do is pull off of player scored and do a branch.
If I say if, is that the same? Yeah, branch. Okay, cool.
Yep, it is the exact same thing. Also, if that's too long, that's too long for you, can also hold B on your keyboard and left click, and it'll create a branch.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of those. You just kind of have to learn them if you care. I was just right click anyway. So we want to grab enemy score and player score. Do a get for each of those.
You're right.
And go ahead and pull off of either one and hit plus twice.
Increment. Oh, okay. I know this one. Yes. Okay. Just increments by 1, right?
Exactly. Now, you'll notice that this has a diamond pin on it instead of a circle pin.
Yes.
That means that we are passing by reference. All the circle ones are passing by copy.
Okay.
So doing this is legitimately the same as, get +1 and then set again. We're just sort of handling it by passing the reference.
Sure.
Go ahead and do the same thing for player score, and then we'll set these up off of the true and false above.
Okay. So do I do an if then? I mean another branch or
okay. So
this
we
is true
can
enemy score. Is this the right one?
So player scored true. We want the player score to go up.
Yep. Okay. All right, then we'll drag this one off. Okay. All right.
Very good. All right, and then what we can do is double check this. So actually, what we're going to do is check to see if we are at the limit. So go ahead and pull off of either one of these at the end, off the pluses, and go ahead and just check and see if this is, So actually, we're going to do a greater than, less than.
Yeah. All right. And then this one will be a less than.
Well, no, I mean, it'll still be greater than. It just doesn't matter if you pick greater than or less than. We just need to pick, some kind of thing. But go ahead and duplicate that and put that on the enemy score. And these are both just going to check against the score limit.
Okay.
So go ahead and grab score limit over here on the left. Yep.
Drag it out.
Yep.
And then this is what you're looking for right here.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then we'll go ahead and do another set of branches.
And duplicate that. Okay.
Got it. And then if either of these is true, then we're going to go and do our game over thing and
either one. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
come back to the left a little bit, get our pluses and attach them to the branches so we don't forget about that later.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Yep. And then what we're going to do here is so like if it is, then we're going to essentially call game over.
Okay. So we're using a widget blueprint.
Yeah. So the way we're going to communicate with the widget is we're going to actually make some event dispatchers. So down here at the bottom left, we need 2. We need 1 for the score changed, so we can actually update the score on the widget, and we need 1 for the game is over. Perfect.
Okay.
Score changed. Go ahead and click on that one real quick.
Yep.
And over here in the details panel, for some reason it's at the top this time. This is the only one that's at the top. We're going to add an input, and we're going to actually add the player score and the enemy score as inputs, so we can pass those through and let the widget display them. So yep, it's going to add 2 parameters, and they're both going to be integers, and we're going to new enemy score and new player score. Very top.
Let me make sure I'm not. Let me pull the Zoom thing. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're good.
So these inputs. This will be an integer.
Yep.
int.
Uh, yeah, it's the third one from the top if you don't type anything.
Oh. No, all right. Whatever. I'll just use this anyway. Okay. Sure.
Perfect.
All right. So we use single.
Yeah, we're just gonna use a
Yeah,
single.
right.
And then where it says new param one and new param, these will be new player score and new enemy score.
Excuse me while I do this right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a new enemy score.
Wonderful. And then what we're gonna do is for game over,
Yeah.
we're gonna add one input, and it's gonna be Boolean, and this is gonna just be player one. No, my bad. WON, like with a question mark. Like, did the player win or did the AI win?
Question, right?
Yeah. And like I like the question mark just because it denotes that like this is giving me an answer as opposed to
Right.
hitting a B on there. But either one
Mhm.
works. And then the way dispatchers work is these are like broadcast signals.
Okay.
So we're just going to yell out the window, and then somebody else is responsible for listening to us yelling out the window. So go ahead and grab the game over one, drag that out here on the graph, call, and then go ahead and so plug that in off a true from the top branch and check the player one box, and then do the same thing for the bottom, except the player one box should be not checked.
All right. If the bottom is true, we'll uncheck it. Okay.
Perfect.
I had a
And then the last,
question. Uh,
go
this I'm gonna make some sense of this by reviewing it. I would always did such a simple version, like the widget blueprint where you do a bind. That seems like a simple way, but I think it's not the way to do it here, where you bind a
well,
variable.
so we're going to, but what we're going to do is we're going to have the widget listening to the game mode and have the game mode not know about the widget.
Okay.
Because like just in general, like if I'm doing like a health bar or something, my player character doesn't need to know or give a shit about the health bar. That's not his problem. When his health is, changed, then he yells out, "Ah, my health changed," and then anybody who cares can do something about that. That way, I can add, remove, play with, any kind of UI stuff, and I don't have to go change it in my player classes as well. It's just a way to keep it not dependent. Um, and then the last thing we need to do in here is the score changed. Yeah, we need to call that call. Perfect. And then over here on the left, we want to do this before the branch because it like anytime the score changes, we want to tell it the score changed, but we don't necessarily want to wait until the game's over.
Okay.
So go ahead and slide left a little more.
All right.
Yeah. So so game over is going to happen like when we're done. So go ahead and slide left. Other way.
Sorry, this way? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. And then right after the pluses is where we want the score change to go. So yeah, that one goes there. Perfect. And then make a copy and.
All right.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Now this one goes here, and that one
Yep.
goes here. Okay. All right.
Exactly. And then all we got to do is grab the player score and the enemy score and plug them in. And then you can
Okay.
actually drop them on the pins as well, by the way. So like where it says new player score, you can just drop player score on top of that pin and it will automatically connect it for you.
Okay. New play. Oh, I see. Player score. Just on
Yep.
drop here,
You got it.
and then enemy score. Drop there. Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. Flawless victory.
Yep.
All right.
All right. And then we'll do the same thing down here on the bottom one.
Okay. Player score.
And then like you'll notice this is getting a little bit messy. What we would do later on is just like throw some of these into functions. So like the call change score thing, I would probably throw into a function. That way I don't have these things floating around. Same
Cool.
thing with the plus and the check. I'd probably throw that into a function of some sort. and just kind of clean this up a little bit. But it's
Yeah.
not important for right now. Go ahead and hit compile and save. And then we need to go ahead and make our widget. So go ahead and control spacebar and go ahead and make a widget blueprint.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, you can call this, like score, player HUD, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. And then the naming convention is underscore WBP.
Yeah.
Perfect. So go ahead and pop open that. And we need a canvas panel from the.
All right.
And then back under the common section, we're going to need 2 text boxes. Yep, perfect. Well, actually, we only need 1. You just go ahead and delete the second one. Let's use the 1. Over here in the details panel, at the very top, go ahead and rename this text block to like score text or something, and then check the little is variable button on the side. Perfect. And then that's all we actually have to do here. Go ahead back to the graph. So, my bad. On the right-hand side. Yep. Was that designer? Keep going right.
All right. Hold on. Let me move this because it's like it was in the way. I zoom. All right. Cool.
I got you. Okie dokie. So this works the same way as the other blueprints. The only difference is we don't have a begin play or an overlap. We have pre-construct and construct. Okay. Pre-construct happens when you call the create widget function, and it actually creates the widget and puts it in memory. Okay. Event construct fires when the widget actually goes on the screen, and will fire every time it goes on the screen. So if you have like a pause menu or something, the construct will happen every time you pause. Unless you're actually creating a new widget each time, in which case they'll both fire. We're going to, off of the pre-construct, because we don't need to do this multiple times, we just need to do it once. We're going to bind to those dispatchers we just made. So go ahead and right click somewhere in space and type in get game mode.
Get game mode. Okay.
Perfect. And then pull off of there, and we're going to cast to your underscore GM. Perfect.
Can you, as far as cast, why is it so expensive? It's considered, like what I read, is like takes a lot of computation.
It's not expensive, and you can actually cast on tick, and you'd never notice. Casting is essentially free. The problem with casting is the blue pin there is an object reference.
Yeah.
The object reference means that we have to actually load that class into memory to have that information.
Okay.
So if I was in my player class and I casted to a light switch, and the light switch cast to the light, and the light cast to something else, now I have like 5 things loaded because I did that one cast, and it sort of, cascaded on me. Because the game mode is always there, this isn't hurting you in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Unless we're using a game mode that's not this one, in which case we'll have our actual game mode loaded and this game mode, and then this widget won't work because we're dependent upon the underscore GM game mode. Okay. Which is like for most cases it's not a problem.
Okay.
We can talk about soft references later on if you want. But that's how you get away from doing that. Okay. So go ahead and attach. It actually doesn't matter. Either construct or pre-construct, because we're only gonna put this on the screen once. And then off of the blue pin for as GM, we want to assign, and we want to do it for game over and score change. They'll be right there in the middle under the default. Yep.
Okay. Game over event. Score. Oh, we want to do also score change. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
So score change. Okay.
Yep. Exactly. And then go ahead and put the that bind after the other one. Perfect. So the binds are just saying, hey, listen for this to happen, and then these 2 red lines are pointing to the events that actually happen when we do it. So first things first, We want to grab the score text over here on the left-hand side in the variable section. Drag that out here. And you want to pull off of the text and type in set text. Because this is a reference to the actual block and not the text itself. So go ahead and off of score changed. Nope, not that one. Off of score changed down here.
All right.
So
score change. Where are you?
Okay.
Okay.
That one right there. Yeah. So like that's the function that's going to happen when we hear the signal.
Okay.
Go ahead and pull off of the text pin, the pinkish one. Yep. Left-hand side.
Oh, pull off the. Okay, sure.
Yep. And type in format.
Format text. Okay.
Yep. This works the same way as any other formatting. So you'll type in like whatever you want to be there, and then you'll put curly braces, and then name the variable that's going to go in there. So, yep, player score.
And then we use player score.
I mean, you can do PS, you can do burgers. It doesn't make any difference. It's just going to be what the pin is named.
Is this upper or lowercase? What's the naming convention for inside the curly brackets?
Again, it's entirely up to you. It doesn't make any difference.
All right, cool. Oh, curly. Okay, cool.
Yep. And then so that made that pin. Click back inside the text box, and at the end of it, hold down Shift and hit Enter.
Okay,
perfect.
Sure.
And then do enemy score and same thing. Unless you want them to have separate boxes, in which case we would just do this twice.
What is good thing variable for this enemy score?
Yeah, ES is fine. Like I said, it's literally just going to be the name on the pin. So like down here it says PV. That's as far as it goes.
Okay.
So go ahead and grab the new player score and plug that into PB, and the new enemy score and plug that into ES.
Player score.
On the player changed, or on the score changed event, it's the 2 green pins.
Okay. Player score goes here. All right, I got it.
Yep, exactly. All right. So like when we yelled out and called the dispatcher, we sent this information along with it, and then now we're going to use that.
Okay.
And then we're going to do sort of the same thing with the game over event. We need to make another, so go back to the designer and make another text box. And this is going to be, where we display if you won or lost. So go back to the, we'll end up deleting that stuff because we're going
to. All right.
Actually, you can delete. We're not going to use the format text at all, actually, because we just have one thing to spit out. Yeah, you're good. So go back to the designer, upper right-hand corner. Perfect. Go ahead and drag another text block out here and throw that in the middle. This is going to be our you win or you lose declaration.
Okay.
Go ahead and name the text block to be like win text or something. Check the little checkbox, and then we actually need to adjust the anchor for this one. The anchor is that little flower thing. Go ahead and click that and just set it in the middle.
The flower thing.
So you can see where it is. So go ahead over back to where you were initially, where it says anchors, and just pick the one that's in center, and that's just a preset spot.
Question I have. I know the idea is to get in the center, but why is text box? Does that have to be in the center or not, or does it not matter? Like I'm not.
Yeah, no. So the way the anchors work is they just hold a relative position. So down the bottom right-hand corner of this blue box, like your canvas here, you see those 2 little arrows?
Yes.
If you pull on those, that will let you preview different sizes of screens.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So if you were to zoom out and pick like a tall one or whatever, if you had it anchored to the side, it would look funny when you moved it around. Like it wouldn't stay where you want it to be. But yeah, like in general, it's just a way to hold it to a particular area of the screen.
Okay.
Go ahead and let's go back to our graph and pull off of player 1 the red pin.
Let me find you. Player 1.
WON.
Yeah.
So on the game over event.
Game over.
It's the red input.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so right below the
Oh,
menu
player
screen.
one. Okay. There we
Yeah,
go.
you got it. Go ahead and do select text. Perfect. And then in here we're gonna so if so A is the player one. So in A, go ahead and type in you win, and then in B, go ahead and type in you lose. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Over here on the left-hand side, grab your win text, and we're going to set the text. No, Control Z once. There you go. Pull off of win text, and so this is your text block, and we want to set the text on it. So call the set text function. Perfect. And then go ahead and plug the pink pin from the select text into that.
Okay. This one? No.
To the return value.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect. And then go ahead and grab the white pin from the game over event over here on the left.
All right. Game over.
Yeah, game over event over here on the left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Plug it in there. Okay.
Perfect. All right, compile and save, and let's make sure that. Oh, we have to actually put this on the screen yet. So go back to your. Let's go to your player controller just for fun. Because we haven't actually done anything in here yet today. Go to the event graph real quick. Go ahead and delete these two. And we're going to use on possess. And then go ahead and pull off of the white pin here. Do a create widget. Normally you'd have to give it the owning player, like the player controller reference as a thing for the owning player. Since we're in the controller, it'll figure that out on its own. Where it says class, we're going to go ahead and pick our player HUD WBP that we just made.
Player HUD, okay.
And the last thing we're going to do is pull off the return value, and we're going to add to viewport. So the create actually makes the thing, and then the add to viewport actually puts it on the screen.
Okay.
Compile and save, and then let's go ahead and test it. So currently it says text block and text block, and now it says enemy score.
Okay, so let's see.
And then go ahead and let him score a third time so we can see if you lose.
Yeah, you lose. Okay, great.
Nice. Good stuff.
So as far as the enemy AI, it would win every time if it was fast enough. I mean, if you were a sloppy player.
Like yeah, so I mean, like, yeah, if you made the player or the enemy AI close enough to the speed of the ball that the ball could never outrun it, then yeah, you'll never lose.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, like, and one of the real common ones that I have people do is every time the ball bounces, we increase the speed a little bit. So as the game goes on, it becomes much easier for you to beat the AI because you're going to actually be anticipating, whereas the AI is just following.
Okay.
Yeah. But okie dokie. So we need to go ahead and change a couple things real quick. Number one, go back to the player HUD BP. And you'll notice that we had two issues with this. Number one, the text block in the middle is there all the time, and we don't want that. So we're going to set visibility on this thing. You just type in visibility in the search bar at the top. It'll pop up.
Okay. Make it.
And then set that to hidden. It's fine. Perfect.
Okay.
And then we're going to go back to the designer. So, or the graph. Yeah. And go ahead and pull off of win text. Right in the middle of the screen where your cursor is. It's a little blue one. Win text.
Oh yeah. All right.
And we're going to set visibility. And perfect. And then we're going to do that. It really doesn't matter if you do it before or after. It's going to happen so quick. You can do it before next one up, actually. Yeah.
Oh, this one.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. compile and save, and then the last one we need to do is so go back in there real quick. Go ahead and pull off of the bind to score changed at the top. Yep. And then call score changed. Like just type in score changed. Yeah, score changed event. Top one. Yeah. And then you just leave that the way it is. This is just going to set it to 0 initially. That way we don't have to like hand code it. So compile and save. Let's double check real fast that this is all good now, and then we'll move on to the main menu.
What's
then packaging? Go ahead.
What's the hotkey to compile? I'm not seeing one here.
Hold Control and Alt real quick. It might tell you.
F7. Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right,
also, if you want the little three button, the little 3 dot button beside the word compile. Keep going. Yeah, right there. Come down once, and then save on compile is set to never by default. You can set that to successful or always, and then anytime you hit compile, it'll also save. But all right, good stuff. Yeah, so let's go ahead back to the level, double check that this is all good. Nice. Player score, enemy score, zeros, and then the thing is not on the screen. And as soon as somebody loses, we'll see what's up. And then, like I said, we'll do the main menu real quick, and then we'll do the packaging. And then from that point is where the students get to do like theme related stuff and kind of decide like, oh, what is this really going to be? How am I going to add and expand upon this? Very nice. You lose. Alrighty. So we're gonna go ahead and make our main menu, and then when you lose or win, we'll kick you back to it. And then we'll package, and the game will be complete until functionally anyway. And then like I said, from that point, it's just going to be actually making it into wizards battling or space things, or whatever you want this to be, or make it multiplayer or whatever. So go ahead and control spacebar, and we're gonna make a new level actually, and we're gonna make a new game mode and a new player controller. So go ahead and just make a new folder for this.
What should I call it?
Main menu. Just call it main menu.
Okay.
And then go ahead and pop in there. And like I said, we're gonna make a new level. We're gonna make a game mode and a player controller and a widget.
All right.
So this is the main menu level.
Oh. Okay, and then make a new game mode.
Yep. And this is going to be our main menu game mode.
All right. Movie.
Yep. You got it. And then we need we need a player controller, and we need the widget.
Okay. Let's see. And widget blueprint.
Yeah. So do me a favor. Rename the player controller to like main menu _ PC, because like we already have the other ones _ PC, and player controller is also a taken name already. That's what they called the default one.
Okay.
And then we need the widget, and this will be your main menu widget, or WBP.
So I'll do all these at the back, so you don't have a WBP at that even. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Alrighty, good stuff. So first things first, go ahead and open up the main menu level. Perfect. Over here in the world settings on the right, we're going to set the game mode main menu, or the main menu game mode.
All right, there we go. Perfect.
Go ahead and open up our content browser again. Control spacebar. Perfect. Go ahead and open up the main menu game mode. And then assign the player controller that we would like. So player controller class is going to be main menu player controller. Perfect. Compile and save here. Then you can actually close this tab because we don't need this ever again.
Main menu GM. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go back to here and go ahead and open up the main menu player controller. Over here on the right-hand side in the mouse interface section, right below your cursor, click the show mouse cursor and the enable click events buttons. Perfect. And then we need to go to the event graph real quick.
I assume enable touch events, that would be for mobile?
Yeah, for like any kind of touch screen.
Okay. Where were we?
So we're going to go to the event graph. Yep, here and here. Go ahead and delete these two, and we're going to use on possess again. And then go ahead and pull out of the blue pin that says possessed pawn, and we're going to disable input. Because the default pawn, like by itself, has spectator movement, and we don't want that. So we're just going to tell it, hey, just don't move. And then we're going to create our widget and add it to the viewport. So go ahead and pull off of here.
Okay. Viewport.
Perfect.
Do I drag these?
Yep. And then we need to pick the class type, and this is going to be your main menu. Perfect. Alrighty, compile and save in here, and then you can close this one because we're done with this now. And then we're going to go over to our widget. So control spacebar. And perfect. Go ahead and pop that open. We need a canvas, and then we need some text and some buttons. So perfect. And then under the common section, you'll find text and buttons. So we need a text for the title, we need a button for play and a button for quit, and then we need text for both of those buttons. So do me a favor and so grab the text and drag it on top of the button real quick. My bad. Come over here to the left-hand side in the hierarchy section at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah. Drag the button on top of it in here. Or my bad, the text on top of the button in here.
Oh.
Yeah. Perfect. There we go. Now the text is actually on, no, it's not attached yet. It just came undone. Put the text on top of the button again. It should attach. There we go. Perfect. So go ahead and click on the button itself, and we're going to pull this out a little bit and make it, big enough for the text. Nice. And then go ahead and position this.
Can I use the anchor? No. All right.
Yeah. Go ahead and anchor to the center.
Okay.
And then go ahead and grab our second button, bring that down here, or you can just duplicate the first one. It's up to you.
Good. There we go. We get rid of this whole one. Okay.
Cool. And then we're going to go ahead and set the text on the top one to play and the text on the bottom one to quit. Beautiful.
Okay.
And then last thing we need to do is go ahead and click on the button itself. And then over here in the details panel at the bottom, we have override. Oh, my bad. Click the little is variable button at the top. That used to be on by default. I don't know why they turned it off. Scroll to the bottom, and now we have our overrideable events. So these are functions that are built into the button, and we can override them from here. So on clicked, go ahead and hit that little button, the little plus beside that. Perfect. And then go back to the designer and do the same thing for the quit button. Check the little is variable button at the top. Yeah. And then
all right.
Perfect. So off of on clicked button 0, because that's your play button, we're going to open level by name. Actually, by object reference, my bad. We could do name, but object reference is easier. Click select asset, and then pick your Pong level.
There we go.
Beautiful. And then for quit, we're going to actually just call quit game. That's a built-in function. We don't have to do anything else. Perfect. Compile and save. And then we're going to hit play in the main menu.
Sweet. All right, play quit. Okay.
And then if you go ahead and click on quit, it should kick you back out of the editor. And if you hit play again and hit play, it should take you into the Pong level.
Flawless victory. Nice. I like it.
Sweet. All right. Last thing we need to do before we package is we need to tell the game mode after we lose or win, whatever, that it should wait a couple of seconds and then kick us back to the game mode or to the main menu. So hit escape once, and let's go back to your game mode. Yep, perfect. And go ahead and right-click anywhere and do the open level by object reference. We just need one because we're going to do this regardless. Go ahead and pick the main menu level from our little selector. Perfect. And then you can actually plug both of these game overs into this one pin. So they can converge, they just can't diverge. All right, compile and save. And then that is
when
that.
diverge would
Bad.
be like, is this diverge when you try to get one execution bin into two other nodes?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So like, it can't split apart, but they can join together.
Okay.
Do me a favor, and actually we need to add a delay on here real quick. So just right click somewhere and type in delay.
In there.
Yeah. And then same thing for the game over call. Just put that into delay as well. Yeah, perfect. And then set the duration to like 3 seconds or something. You know, that way they have a second to like, oh, we won. And then compile and save.
So a delay doesn't stop any progress. Like it still does the event ticket all over, but it's not.
Oh, yeah. This is just like a little bullshit timer that you don't have any control over.
Okay.
We could also do a timeline or an actual timer, and we would have much more control over those, but we don't really have a reason to.
I remember playing with pause, and that just paused the whole thing.
So pause will pause the whole thing, which and we can use that. We would have to set up. So like we couldn't use a delay because a delay will pause when you pause the thing. We'd have to either use a timeline that we set to not pause, or we'd have to use a timer that we also set to not pause. Timelines are usually a little easier, but it's just depends on how you want to go about it. In this particular case, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Do me a favor and hit save, and then, oh, actually, no, I don't need to save. This is saved. So next, we're going to go ahead and start doing the packaging. Packaging in Unreal is very easy. You can go ahead and close most of these. We're not going to like. We're essentially done now. Nice. All right. So first things first, we need to actually tell it which levels we would like to package and which one is supposed to start up on, and then we're going to actually package it. So we need to go to edit at the top of the top left-hand corner, and then come down to project settings. And the first thing we need is maps and modes on the left-hand side. It's like the 5th from the top.
Let me search maps and modes. Okay.
Yeah.
The
editor default startup is just kind of whatever. You can set that to Pong if you like, but this is the one that's going to like start up when you actually open the engine to work on it.
Okay.
The game default is going to be the one that actually opens up when you hit play, like when we run the executable. So main menu level for that one. And then we also need go ahead and delete the word maps and type in include, trying to remember what the. Yeah. So at the very top here, right where your cursor is, list of maps to include in package build. Hit that little array button there. We need 2, and then we need to give it our main menu and our Pong. So go ahead and type in main menu. Make sure you spell it the exact same way it's spelled for the asset, and then Pong.
Was it the Pong BP?
No, I don't think it's BP. Hit Control Spacebar real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, click off. There we go. You can shrink this real fast. Like just minimize it. It won't. So yeah, main menu is all by its lonesome, and it's just Pong.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, great.
All right, good stuff. And then you can go ahead and close this. There is no saving. It just it is what it is. Go ahead and hit File, Save All at the top, and then we're going to package this.
Okay.
So you see where it says platforms at the top in the middle? Little for yeah, there we go. If you come down to Windows, and then go ahead and set this to shipping, and then go back in there real quick and actually hit package. So go back to platforms.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and then come down to Windows, and then package project is at the top. Perfect.